weekly show, offering a diverse combination of guest interviews with questions and comments, and we will act as a positive source of information. Now listen, if you want to be a guest on the show, all you got to do is log in to www.getwiththeprogram.biz, shoot me an email, leave me a message. You never know, you may have a conversation that we want to talk about, or you can give me a call at 919-255-2757. Again, the number is 919-255-2757. Now today we'll be joined in the studio with Heath and Tracy. Now, Heath and Tracy, this is a couple who's been married for more than 28 years plus, and they have 4 kids and corporate jobs, and also entrepreneurs. I mean, they got a lot going on, man. You know, I mean, that's a lot going on. Now, what I want to know from these guys and the lady, of course, I want to know what has been some of the pros and cons to a successful relationship, and perhaps some ideas to maintain a successful marriage. Now, today, our topic is joyfully married after. So, hello, welcome, Tracy and Heath, to Get With The Program radio show.
Thanks so much, Gary. We really appreciate you having us, buddy.
Hi, Gary. Thank you so much.
Oh, yes. You know, I'm just excited to know that, you know, you've been married for many, many years, and I know there's been some ups and downs with it. Cause,
yes.
I know there's been some struggles and some
yeah.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. So, before we get started, tell me about Heath and Tracy.
Oh, man, you know, you wouldn't be looking at the guy that's sitting before you, Gary, if it wasn't for this woman here.
And same here.
I think what's so key that's beautiful about marriage is that when you when you merge your life with someone else, you really begin to benefit from the marriage, right? And so it's said that when you're married that you live 3 times better than anybody who's not married. And so I've certainly have been a witness to that and have been experiencing the beauties and joys of marriage for more than 28 years.
So you're from this area?
I actually grew up in Atlanta.
I grew up in South Florida, West Palm Beach to be exact.
Wow. Yes. So we got the A-Town, we have Florida over here represented, and we met at Howard University in the late 80s and have been in love ever since.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Florida and
Georgia.
Yeah.
Wow. And met at Howard University.
Yeah,
that's right.
We sure did. Yeah.
That's right.
That's wonderful. So what did y'all study in school? How y'all?
Well, my degree is communications, so...
and I was political science.
Yeah, so
I was going to be an attorney, guys.
Until she met me.
It was over. It was done.
It all changed when I came on the scene, Gary.
Hey, that's something. That's some questions I'm going to ask about that. That's opposite of
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you know it is.
Oh, absolutely. So now, how do you, with all the stuff that you have going on, how do you balance work, the kids, and your relationships? Because that's a lot. A lot of people have a lot of things going on. People work a lot of hours. They have kids, and sometimes the relationships don't work. So
I'm going to give you one word, and it's grace. Okay. I rely on my Creator to give me the energy and the creativeness to push through my day. My job is very demanding, and I just make sure that I am in tune with Him, so that He can give me the energy to continue to take care of my husband and to take care of my children, and also to excel at my job, and then do what we're doing here on the side, because it's so much fun. And what it does is just gives you more energy. It just gives you more energy. I eat right, I exercise, I swim. I try to swim daily.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I just try to keep it going. And
That's so key what you said, Gary. And I think the other piece of that is understanding that vertical alignment. So I think a lot of people get that part. And I think the other piece to that is understanding that when you are connected, when you prioritize your relationship, all of the other things fall into place. And I think what happens frequently in life and in work with people having careers, they begin to shift their focus to the career, or they shift their focus to the children. And when your focus is on your primary relationship, right, when you have that vertical alignment, understanding grace, and then understanding the importance of my wife,
right.
Now everything else is going to fall in line.
Correct.
It's going to have to, because the wife, most relationships, they run the house.
That's right.
To a certain level now. But
well, that's a whole different conversation. You talking about gender roles. We'll have to do a whole different show for that, Gary.
Yeah. A whole different show.
Yes.
Right.
How serious is marriage? A lot of people know, how serious is that?
I think marriages, especially in our community, is the foundation to legacy. You know, how do you get that legacy to grow your family, to grow your wealth, to grow whatever influence you want on your community without a joint partnership with another person trying to go the same direction that you're trying to go? We're out here having babies, and we're not building legacies. We're not building a foundation. And that's what drove Heath and I to start Joyfully Married After, and to start this whole marriage intelligence talk. because we wanted people to get to a place of understanding this is foundational. These are foundational principles. Whether you believe in God or not, these are the basis. Why do you think the LGBT community wants marriage? They want foundation. They want structure. And they want laws around it to support it. So that's why we feel it's so important, because it's going to grow your legacy. It's going to give us a full foundation to grow, and our community needs it.
So, Gary, I think you can probably see how awesome of lawyer Tracy would have been had she gone down that road. She gives you a very succinct understanding of what she's thinking. And just to add to that, I think that you also need that opposite energy. So to your point, right? Because I'm not as serious about everything as Tracy is, but I think that bringing some levity into things and keeping her balanced is something else that adds to our success.
And I keep him balanced.
Yes, she does.
So this works together. Now, I heard you mention, of course, in the title of our show today is Joyfully Married After.
Oh, yes.
And that's a business that you both run. Tell me about that business.
Yeah.
So Joyfully Married After is the moniker we came up with because everyone says happily ever after. Mm-hmm. Well, happily is not permanent. Joy is permanence. Mm-hmm. So we wanted to express our marriage. First of all, we wanted to seek permanent joy. So that's where we came up with Joyfully. Mm-hmm. Joyfully Married After consists of several things. We have a podcast. You can listen to that on several different places. And we also have a YouTube channel, Heath and Tracy TV, and there's a Joyfully Married After playlist. And we've also got courses in a membership group coming out, and that's going to be called Joyfully Married After also.
So that's really the key is the joyful, right? The permanence of what we're doing, how we're proceeding, and being joyful every day is sort of like when you are in expectance, when you wake up every day and you appreciate life, and that you're joyful regardless of the circumstances that come towards you, because every day is not going to be roses and everything. And so I think that when you're joyful, it speaks to your long-term, big picture thought process.
So with that being said, what are some of the things that a person should look for when finding a mate to marry?
Ooh.
What are some of the things that
I really love that question because what you want to start with first is self. And we're going through this with marriage intelligence. Self-awareness is key. So you want to look for someone that is self-aware. Okay, number one.
Do
What's
you
the
get
second
yourself?
One? Do you get yourself, and do they get
right?
do they understand themselves?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you want to look for someone who's compassionate, right? So if it's all about me, if everything is about me and what I'm doing and what my life is, well, what kind of mate is that going to make me if I don't have any compassion toward what my spouse is all about? And so you're looking for some of these core intelligences, which is sort of why we decided to come up with the marriage intelligence mindset and just really understanding how you want to have that baseline, that foundation to build upon for some of these other things that are going to make you successful in your relationship.
Wonderful.
Another one is compassion.
Compassion, okay.
So there's 9 of them. There's self-awareness, there's compassion, there's passion. This is what you want to look for now in someone else, and you want to have it yourself.
Right.
You want someone that is analytical about doing what they're doing. They have a purpose in mind. You want someone that's curious about you and where you want to go, and curious about themselves. And you want someone that is faithful. They got to have some kind of faith.
And that's another conversation.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah, so lots of those kind of key characteristics.
Wonderful. Now, I hear this a lot, and I've seen this in the Bible, the equally yoked. Is there any truth to equally yoked? Tell me about that.
Wow.
I hear that a lot. Someone has to be equally yoked.
Yeah.
What is your take on that?
Okay, so I'm going to upset some people out there.
Oh, no.
Yes, I agree.
Here it comes.
To a certain extent, yes.
Put your seatbelt on.
But what does equally yoked mean?
What does
that
mean,
mean I have to attend the same church? Does that mean we have to have the exact same faith? What does equally yoked mean? I think equally yoked means many things. I think it means I am curious like they are. I am passionate about things like they are. I want the same things in life that they want. Now, whether they have the same belief systems or not, I think there's some flexibility there. We know people and know people that love each other and have loved each other for years successfully of different faiths. We know people who are Jewish and Muslim who are married just fine. And I'm just pointing that particular relationship out. They have a beautiful relationship, beautiful children. So a lot of people want to throw people away or cancel people because they don't have the same belief system they have, or they don't speak in tongue daily, or they not dropping the scripture every time. It's stop canceling people because they're not exactly like you.
Yeah.
Because what you're doing is you're shortening your pool. Go ahead, baby.
We're all in different places in life, right? And so we're not going to be exactly at the same place in the same time on our walk. And so I think the key is that if you have some baseline things that you have in common with that other person, then you're going to be okay. But having one who's a believer and one who's not, some of those kinds of things can create challenging. Those kinds of things can be challenging. But if you are on the same page with most of the things you're doing in life, you're going to be fine.
So there is equally yoked is not always.
People think it's just one thing.
Yeah.
It's not just one thing. I think that's where the discrepancy is with what they teach us, what religion teaches,
right.
is that they must be Christian and their walk must be where you are.
Yeah.
Well, there are people who are walking with Christ but not like you.
Right.
So where is your grace? Where is your acceptance as a Christian of them and where they are?
Yeah.
We've got to get to a place of love. We've got to get to a place of loving people where they are.
Right.
And you'd be surprised what you can pull out of them when you love them where they are.
A quick story about my father, Gary, is that both my parents were elders in the church. I grew up actually in the Presbyterian church. And both my parents were elders in the church growing up, were very key in that environment that we were in. And at some point, my father became disenchanted with the other people attending the church because it was very evident to him that people didn't believe what they were reading in the Word. And his point was that if you believed it, then you'd have a giant structure on this campus. You would have daycare centers. You would have tall buildings. You would have other things, because if you believe that you can do all things through Him, then why are you not doing it? Right. And so he became so disenchanted that he literally stopped going to church. It didn't change how he believed. It didn't change how he felt. It didn't make him not want me to go to church or my mother, but his perspective was, I'm going to be doing while other people are talking.
And Mama was the exact opposite. She was in the church house every chance she could get, stroking those checks, keeping the doors open, and she wasn't listening to a word they said. Did it destroy their marriage?
Yeah.
No.
Wow.
Yeah.
So with that being said, how important is it to have God in your relationship?
Yeah.
I think God is paramount. He is the center of us. We are with Him. He is in us. He is ever present. He is everywhere. And if you don't have a foundational faith, you are going to drift into this world. This world is not going to support a marriage.
Right. You got to have that North Star. Always understand which direction you're going, where you need to get to, how your vertical alignment needs to be structured. And when you have that point that you're always pointing toward, then that creates that bond with you.
So having God in your life is necessary to a certain degree, but still it's within yourself. Is what I mean.
I think it's, well, I'm not going to put my beliefs on other people, but yes, God is for us. God is in me at all times.
Center.
He is center.
Yeah.
He is center.
Wonderful. Now what about opposite attraction? People
Me and
always say, I hear y'all talking about that a little earlier, opposite attraction. People seem to be, somebody may be a singer and somebody may be a preacher.
Yeah.
And they,
it's balance. It's
really,
balance, Gary.
Good and evil, yeah.
It's balance.
It's really interesting for us, because I think that the experience that most people have is that they're not necessarily seeking out people who are opposite. Typically, people are looking for things that they have in common with someone, and that's what attracts them to forge a relationship initially. And so I think it's really interesting how very frequently you end up being with someone who does have opposite personalities or things that are opposite of you within them. And so that's not what I was seeking when I found Tracy.
Same here.
But it so happened that we are very opposite in many ways.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
For my guests and my listeners as well, today we're joined in the studio with Heath and Tracy. Now, they've been married for more than 28 years plus, and with 4 kids and corporate jobs. So they're busy, entrepreneurs as well. And what we want to know what has been some of the pros and cons to a successful relationship, and perhaps some ideas to maintain a successful marriage. And our topic today is joyfully married after, which is part of their business as well.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we get in some good pointers. You never know.
All right.
You having some problems with relationships, you need to call these folks
That's
right
it.
here.
HeathAndTracy.com.
That's
There
it.
it is, right there. So how does someone really know, from your views, how does someone really knows when someone loves them? How can they tell? How do you know when someone really loves you?
Yeah, I think that that question we get sometimes, Gary, and so it's very interesting that you asked that. And I think that any using a woman as an example, typically, if a woman is dating or if she wants to know if a guy is interested in her, frequently when the guy wants her.
You know.
And when you have questions, if the guy wants you,
That's not your dude.
then he doesn't want you.
Right.
And so I think that for guys, it's very similar, is that you get a vibe when someone is really vibing with you. And so that tells you a lot. But sometimes I think that people get it twisted. But
I think the problem is people don't know what love is, and they don't know how to express it, and they don't know how it is expressed. And they think, oh, he expresses his love this way, or she expresses her love that way. And if it gets you to a place of negativity, or you're not feeling good about it in your spirit, that's not love. That's not love. If you're hurting, if you're in anger, if you're waiting all the time, if you're not quite sure, if there's any doubt that creeps in, that is not love.
Now, when couples are having problems in their relationships,
Sure.
and I know you've had problems.
Yes,
everybody
we
problems.
have.
absolutely.
Is it good to bring family into the circle of your relationship?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
So
It's good if you want to end your marriage. It's good if you want to either end your marriage or end your family, your familiar relationships.
So when you talk about leveraging the word, Gary, it says cleaving unto your spouse. It doesn't say cleave unto mama them and sister them and brother them.
And Pookie and them.
And so from that perspective, you have to understand how to go inward, and that's back to how you need your faith in order. And so when you can go into some introspection, call on the word, do the things that you need to do and understand how you need to be conducting yourself, that's where the correction will come. That you'll see what needs to be corrected. You don't necessarily have to go and ask mom and them, what am I doing wrong? You need to just check yourself out.
The problem with it is that you change your family's perspective of your partner.
Right.
And we don't want to do that.
Yeah.
If you want to do, why would you want to change your family's perspective? Your family wants the best thing for you. So if you go to your family and you say, this isn't the best thing for me, they're going to say, oh, well, dump them. Leave them alone. Divorce them. Leave them. Right? That's just normal. Your family wants the best thing for you.
I heard that, yeah.
So keep it to yourself. Talk among each other. Get some help. And talk to other couples who have been through maybe the same thing you've been through. That's your support system.
Yeah, mentorship with people that you're looking to emulate certainly you can take that information and leverage it for you and your benefit. But that's very different than spilling all of your tea with your loved ones.
Now, if your parents are supportive and they're in a relationship that you can emulate, of course you want to seek their advice, but you don't want to complain. You want to keep complaining out.
Don't go ask all your single friends about your marriage.
Because I'm hearing, when it comes to family, I definitely agree with both of you.
Yeah.
Bias.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Can take a strong hold on a relationship.
Sure.
Very much so. How long should a couple be in a serious relationship before the marriage conversation begins?
Let me take this one,
What are the
baby.
signs
Let
of
me
that?
take this one, baby.
We're getting ready to tell some tea here, y'all.
No. So
I'm loving this.
so it's two things, right? So
No, tell them about us first, baby.
Tell them about us first.
Yeah,
okay,
tell them about us.
so.
Yeah, how long were y'all?
So Tracy and I were at very different places mentally and spiritually when we met, and so we had dated. She dated other people. I dated other people, and so when we met, we weren't necessarily looking for a relationship, but the timing was just right.
We were not looking for a
And
relationship.
we were all into conversations. You know, in those days, you had to talk on the phone. You know, the cord is coming out of the wall, and you're walking around your apartment, and so there were hours and hours and days and weeks of conversation before we ever went on our first date. So when we went on our first date, it was magical.
It was magical. And I think we decided to get married about 2 weeks later.
Wow.
But no, we didn't get married 2 weeks later. But
No.
the decision and where we were emotionally and spiritually
It was
and
done.
mentally
You
was
could
was
feel,
very.
you could feel the
We knew.
We knew instantly.
We knew. you know.
But back to your question, I think that if I were advising people around that today, I think that before you ever date, then you should be really dating with purpose, right? And so if I'm an adult male, if I'm an adult female, and I'm dating someone, I'm not just out here wasting my time. I'm trying to get to know you in a way that I can determine if you are a good match for me or not. And if you're not a good match for me or not,
I need to
then
move on.
I need to move on. Because now I'm precluding myself from the availability of the person that is intended for me. But I can't find that person because I'm so wrapped around the axle on someone that is not going anywhere with.
So what I'm hearing is that when you get involved with somebody, there need to be some point. There's a purpose. You're not just laying with somebody, spending time with somebody.
It's a purpose from day one.
What I'm saying is it's a purpose from the onset, yes. Before you ever go on a date.
Well, tell me this. With that being said, how important is compassion in sex?
Oh, huge. Huge. Compassion. Think about compassion in this way.
Yeah.
So passion and compassion are two different things.
Right.
So compassion is equivalent to empathy.
Right.
If you're dating someone and you say, you know, my grandmother died and I'm really going to have to pull back on us, you know, meeting this week and everything, you know, let's make a date a couple weeks from now. I really need to take care of my family. And that person responds to you, all right, yeah, whatever. Talk to you whenever. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. How would you feel? You couldn't even fall in love with that person, could you?
There's
no empathy. There's no passion.
Absolutely.
So compassion is very important. Sex is paramount in a marriage. I know people in sexless marriages right now, and that is your partner. I get it, that's your partner, that you love them, that you made a commitment. But sex connects you on the physical level.
Right.
To the point of when you aren't in the right mood or in the right place or you're not feeling yourself, that connection stays. That tie stays. And so sex in a marriage is paramount. It's something that if you have to schedule it, schedule it. If you have to drink a couple glasses of wine, ladies, drink some wine. Relax.
Yes.
Relax. And go ahead.
Now this question this is going to be a good one for both of you.
All right.
After 40 years of a relationship, to the sexual side, to the relationship, being involved for 40 years, what happens when one partner wants to have sex and the other say, I'm not in the mood, and this happens more than once?
Oh, yeah.
How do you handle that? You know, because everybody's not always in the mood.
You need to talk about it, and it's something more than mood.
Right.
It's definitely something more than mood going on. Is my mood bad because the bills aren't getting paid properly? Is my mood bad because you go to work all the time and you don't pay any attention to me?
When you going to clean the kitchen?
Is my mood bad because the kitchen stinks and the bathroom smells and the sheets haven't been changed in 3 weeks?
How come your clothes everywhere?
Is the mood bad because I'm the only one that walks the dog or cleans the cat litter box out? I could go on.
So you always have to review self, right? And when things are not going well, one of the things that we teach our students all the time is that you have to look at self first, right? Michael Jackson had that song called Man in the Mirror.
Yes.
Check yourself out first before you go pointing your fingers at everybody. Well, you need to do this because that's your wifely duty.
No.
Well, dude, you ain't paid a bill. You ain't walked the dog. You not keeping the house clean. Where's your end of the bargain? And so when you're doing those things, you may find that the bedroom all of a sudden is much more interesting.
And people need attention. I mean, you cannot not pay attention to somebody and expect them to give you sex.
Right.
Interesting.
You have to pay attention to people. You have to conversate. You have to be curious. You have to ask questions. And you have to turn the TV off and put the phone down.
Women like conversation. They're wired differently than men, right? Men are very visual.
That's true.
Right? So my woman walks into the room, she's looking good, she's smelling good. I'm feeling it. Let's get it right now. Right? But the woman, conversely, is like, okay, babe, talk to me. Tell me about what's happening. How was your day? Tell me about this and that. Did you talk to the kids? What's happening? Your mom said so-and-so, so-and-so, right? And so you have to engage in conversation and be on the same intellectual level. That's foreplay for a woman. You have to talk with her. And so if you're not talking, you're going to have some issues.
One more thing, ladies. During football season, let me tell you what I do. Okay? I'll give you a little insider secret.
Talk to them, baby. School the ladies.
We have a theater room in our home that has doors that are closed. I go down there. I make sure he has all of his fruits and snacks and drinks.
Yes.
Turn the big screen on.
Okay. Secrets.
And I go down there too.
Secrets.
with not much on.
Oh, I tell you what, hold that thought. We're going to come back. We're going to take a break. I want to hear the rest of this right here. We're going to take a break right quick. Once again, we have Heath and Tracy in the studio today, and they've been married for more than 28 years plus with 4 kids and corporate jobs, and they're also entrepreneurs. And what we're trying to find out here are some of the pros and cons to a successful relationship and perhaps some ideas to maintain a successful marriage. And our topic today is Joyfully Married After. Listen, don't touch that dial. We'll be right back after this important message. Y'all was something else. That was good. Y'all are rolling.
You're awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Y'all rolling. And so we're going to go right back into it now, and we'll go back where we was at. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
Doing a great job.
Thanks.
Thank you, Gary.
You are, too. I
Thank
like
you.
this.
Hello and welcome back to Get With The Program Radio Show. Again, I'm your host, Gary Jones, and I Get With Program Radio Show is a multicultural, informative, relevant, and entertaining one-hour weekly show offering a diverse combination of guest interviews with questions and comments. Now, today we're joined in the studio, again, with Heath and Tracy. Now, they've been married for more than 28 years plus, and with 4 kids and corporate jobs. And what we're finding out today are some of the pros and cons to a successful relationship and perhaps some ideas to maintain a successful marriage. Welcome back, you two.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you,
Now,
Gary.
before we left, we were trying to figure out, you were talking about the football season,
Oh, yeah.
how to get that man attention.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes.
So, like I said, we have a theater room in our house. I go downstairs, make sure he has all of his snacks, and I join him to watch his football games.
Yes.
Because as you know, that's an all-day affair. But the one thing I do that's a little different than sit there and try to figure out what's going on, but I do know that's a whole nother story, is I dress appropriately.
Yes.
I dress appropriately. And that means I don't wear very much.
Okay, now what if not what he has his boys on? I mean,
No. This is just me.
No,
Oh,
no.
okay.
That,
So you don't walk
actually,
in the room.
actually, football season, I love football season.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm his football buddy
Yes, she is. She is.
in many ways.
Yeah.
And knows the game, too.
So it sounds like y'all are equally yoked.
Equally yoked in football season.
So that's a trick for you, lady. When the guys aren't over and your guy is watching TV and no one else is home, it's easy to get his attention.
There you go.
Wow. So tell me something now. A lot of people ask me this question all the time. How should a person handle a situation when one person cheats on the other? How do you handle that? Because, some people, I one of my favorite shows I like to watch Cheaters. And Cheaters, I watch Cheaters faithfully. I actually record it so I can watch it later on. And I see people cheat on each other and they wind up staying in a relationship, going through it. So how do you handle that?
So we'll go ahead and divulge that we've had that issue in our marriage. And the first thing that we'll say to that is we call it our affair. We don't put the blame on one person because the blame does not belong on one person.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, there are people who are serial cheaters, and that goes to your choice in the first place. But let's talk about a committed relationship that someone steps out on, and there was a reason for it. And it may not be blame in a way, but that's why we say our affair.
Sure.
Okay? So you want to go ahead and finish that, baby?
Yeah, I think that obviously when your focus strays away from your primary relationship, that's going to be a problem, regardless of what it is, right? And so if your focus is watching each and every football game that comes on Sunday,
Your job.
your focus is not on your spouse. If your focus is on your job every day, all day, at night, then it's not on your spouse.
Your
if
children.
your focus is on this person that you're talking with on the internet, or this person that you work with, or this other person that's not your spouse, that's going to create a problem. So really it's all the same kind of thing. And that's to the point that Tracy is making, is that means that she's not doing something as well, or the other person is not doing something as well.
Something's missing.
And that's why there's a collective causation for that cheating. And so I think that when that happens, what is so key is that you have to come back together, recognize what has happened, get to the core of why it happened, and now let's fix it, let's heal, let's understand that the rules are different now. Right? And so now it's incumbent upon that person maybe who was doing the cheating. Now I have to be more transparent about what's happening. I have to be more transparent about what I'm feeling. I have to be more transparent with my phone and making sure that my wife can get in there and look at whatever she needs to look at, so it's not a problem. Right?
I like
Because
how
now
she
you
said, "Oh yeah,
Right.
I look at that phone."
It's the same. It goes both ways.
This is the
Wonderful.
process
That's
of
a
rebuilding
very,
the trust.
Very good trustful relationship.
And it takes time. If
Right.
that's happened to anyone,
Yeah.
stop everything. take time together, take days off work together. Be very deliberate about healing your marriage.
Get some counseling.
Get some counseling.
I like that, how you said that. Take some days off together and spend some days together.
Right.
Yeah, be very deliberate about it. And then the other thing, it just takes time. It takes healing.
It's not going to be overnight.
It's not going to be
okay,
overnight.
I said I'm sorry, so now we good.
No, absolutely not.
No.
It's just going to take time. But don't give up. If you really love that person and you know you're in the right relationship, do not give up.
Yeah.
Everybody makes mistakes. I was having this conversation with my son yesterday, and their generation is this cancel. Cancel this, cancel that. They did.
Oh, she canceled.
She canceled. You know, he canceled.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cancel that chick.
We need to stop that.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'll go back to what I said earlier in the show. We need to continue to love each other through our ups and downs, through our mistakes, because you're going to make a mistake.
Yeah. When you come from love and grace, it's going to be better.
So what about with people that travel, have jobs that pull them apart? If somebody's going Monday through Friday, they're traveling, and somebody cheats. I mean, how do they handle? That's got to be tough.
Yeah, I think it is tough, and by the same token, it is a choice. Right?
Yes, it is.
And so when you are engaged in things that you are not supposed to be doing because you're married, then you're making a choice. You're not just like mistakenly falling into the bed with somebody naked that you're not married to.
You're setting yourself up for failure.
And so I think when I was younger and I worked in retail, when I worked in the hospitality space, frequently I would have to work on a Saturday or a Sunday. And as I've gotten older, what I realized was that was a choice. I could have gone and found a different job to enable me to work Monday through Friday. And so it's the same kind of thing, right? If you have a job that's causing you to have to travel, and if that's causing a problem for you to be away from your family all the time, maybe you need to make some adjustments.
You need to find another job.
Good information. Now, is it safe to listen to an outsider who has never been married telling a married couple about how they should live and what should
Oh, Gary, you're gonna go there?
Because you have people that single people who've never been married. They want to tell you how to deal with your husband or your wife.
You can't do it.
The game show Family Feud, when I was growing up, they would say survey said, and it would go.
The answer is no.
That's the answer.
And I'm going to tell you why really quickly. Heath and I can't tell you how to do your marriage. We've been married 28 years.
Right.
Every marriage is different. Every marriage is like a fingerprint. Okay? The difference between Heath and I telling you about our marriage and sharing our experiences and giving you pointers is for you to apply it to your marriage.
Right.
When you have someone who has never been married, and I'm going to add this one, has had an unsuccessful marriage.
Or more than one.
I'm not quite sure that's where you go. Okay? Because my thing with, I had an unsuccessful marriage, and now I have a great marriage, and now I'm going to tell you what to do. What happened to the first marriage? If you're so great at your advice and telling people what to do and applying your principles, why aren't you still married to the first person?
Self-awareness.
Self-awareness. Okay.
Or
so you have to, and you listen to who you want to listen to out there. There are a lot of people out there these days talking about relationships. We're not here to tell you about your relationship.
Right.
We're here to tell you how to look at yourself, look at your spouse, and create your own relationship.
Yeah.
Extrapolate what you want your marriage to be. We're out here telling people you got to do this and you got to do that and don't do this and don't do that. Okay, I can't do none of that. You know what? I give up. I want a divorce.
That's the religion. That's the do good, get good, do bad, get bad, versus understanding the grace and that you have latitude and it's going to be okay if you keep going.
So what I'm hearing, when you're reaching for advice, be very mindful of who you ask questions.
Oh, yes.
That's correct.
About your relationship.
Oh, yes.
And apply it toward you, right?
Yes.
Somebody said that when you're reading the word, a lot of times you can see the Rhema word, or what is it that's speaking to you about that, even though it may be different than what was on the paper.
Wow. Good information. I'm loving that. Now, how long do we have to wait for a person to improve in their relationship? Like perhaps when you get in a relationship and somebody's dragging and you know that you're ready to get married.
We don't know anything about that, Gary. We don't know anything about that.
Because I wonder, I've seen people all the time, they're in relationships and the woman may love this guy and the guy loves the woman.
Yeah.
But the woman, she's ready to move into a home. She's ready to do things. She's ready to take steps.
Oh, yeah.
But he's saying stuff like, well, I'm not quite ready to do this yet. How long should she wait?
They say you never know what you got until it's gone. So now all of a sudden, if the woman makes a decision and moves on, maybe that man will wake up and recognize, oh, I was tripping. I need to go get her right now.
It might be too late, though.
Yeah.
The thing you want to remember that we want to go back to the characteristics we talked about with marriage intelligence. You are looking with someone that has faith, right? So if you're looking for someone that has faith, you're looking for just using your example, they're not going to be fearful of moving to the next step with you. And not to say that they're always going to be in step with you, because we definitely are never. It's rare that we're on the same page. I'm just going to be honest with you. And what I've learned, it's taught me, I'm going to use this word again, guys, grace. I love Heath wherever he is, whether it's we're on the same page with me or not. And what I have to do in those moments, in those times when I'm like, oh my gosh, this is driving me crazy, I go within. I correct within. And when I do that, patience comes, direction comes. There was something I wanted to do the other day, and he just couldn't get there with me. And I said, I can't remember what it is I would share it. I can't remember what it was. And I actually had to leave the room, go upstairs, and just stop and be quiet. And I stopped and I was quiet. And the Lord said to me, he said, Tracy, you got it. It's good. I'm going to give you the strength. And he's going to catch up. It's going to be fine. Relax. And 10 minutes later, I was fine.
Do you guys ever argue?
Oh, yes. Of course.
Actually,
who stops arguing?
Gary, let me correct my wife.
Oh, come on. See, here we go. This is an argument right here.
I do not get down with arguing. Arguing is not something that I enjoy. Arguing is not something that I do. And
He's
so
non-confrontational.
over the years, what I have done is I have perfected how to head an argument off with Queen Tracy. So what I do is
oh, that's the first time you heard that one. That's my name, Gary.
Oh, that's my name. Yeah. Okay. As soon as I get an inkling that Queen Tracy is unhappy about something, I'm going down the street, around the corner, and I'm coming back from the front side to head that off. And we're not even going to get her to the place where she's going to bubble up and burst.
I have a confession, though. I'm a hothead.
So what I do is that when she blows up, I don't indulge. And that way I don't have to worry about arguments.
You're probably not going to win.
I ain't going to win anyway.
Yeah, you don't win.
You see this woman
But who wins the argument, Gary?
That's a great point. That is a great point, right.
Nobody really
wins an argument. And that's one of the things that we talk about very frequently is that what happens is if you want to have a successful relationship, you have to lose the need to always be right.
Do you want to be right?
Or do you want to be married?
Good point. That's a good point. Now, is it important to share your strengths and weaknesses?
To share with one another?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Like have a conversation.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Well, that's what makes the marriage strong, right?
Is that see it on the website?
Yes.
You have to understand that that's really what makes the marriage beautiful. Is that I have strengths and she has strengths. And to your earlier point, Gary, about opposites attracting, if I spend all of my time accentuating the things that Tracy doesn't do well or the things that I don't like about Tracy, that's not going to be very productive for our relationship. So what I do is I focus on what she does well, and I focus on what I do well. And when you put those things together,
it's magical.
And it's just going to make your marriage go further.
To give you an example, Heath is a dreamer. Head in the clouds, visionary,
big thinker.
Got all the ideas. And I'm like, wait, hold up. How are we going to do this? I'm a doer.
She's a doer. Yeah.
So then he dreams it, and I execute it.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And obviously that's working for you because you seem to have this thing locked down pretty good. You're answering the questions like magically. I'm like, wow.
I've gotten used to it. At first I was like, why aren't you doing anything? You come up with all these ideas. Why am I doing everything?
I do what I do.
Make it happen. Now, what are some of the biggest relationship breakers that can cause breakups and divorce? What are some of the things that you see that can really cause a relationship to go backwards and divorce?
Yeah, I think it's repetitive motions, sort of what we were talking about earlier. I think the word talks about abuse and cheating essentially. And I think that if you're with someone who is just physically abusing you or verbally abusing you all the time, every day, every week, every year, that's not what the relationship was designed for, right? And so sort of same thing with what Tracy was saying earlier about a serial cheater. If all you're doing is finding ways to go out and do something outside of your house, then obviously you are not valuing me and not valuing this marriage.
I think the base of all breakups is selfishness.
Well, you ain't let me finish though. Go ahead, baby.
Go ahead and finish, baby.
Go ahead, baby. Dude, talk your thing.
We arguing, Gary.
This is an argument, Gary.
So it all begins with selfishness.
Yeah.
It all begins with selfishness. I make the money, therefore you can't do this.
And that's going to be my next question. I'm glad you said that.
Okay.
When it comes to the finances,
Oh yeah.
when someone, and she perhaps becomes the dominant factor in the home.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
You know,
She becomes the dominant
yeah,
factor.
because she's making the money. You know, she feel like she's in control.
Right.
I see that a lot with some women. in
Oh, okay.
relationships. How do you deal with that? I
Yeah.
mean, is that fair?
Yeah. No.
We did a video on that.
Yeah, we actually have a video on that on the Heath and Tracy
Heath and Tracy TV.
TV.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say about that is, who cares who makes the money?
Right.
It is our money.
Right.
It is not my money, and it is not his money. And I know a lot of couples out there keep everything separate. When you keep everything separate, this is our opinion, guys. When you keep everything separate, there's no trust.
Yeah. You're missing the benefits of the marriage.
You're
when you do
missing
that, right?
all of the benefits of
But when
being
you get that one
married.
big pot, man, we winning.
And
We winning together.
And in our marriage, currently, I am the breadwinner.
Yeah.
So because it hasn't
Breadwinner meaning that she makes more than I do from her corporate job.
right, we both make significant amount of money, but I make more. So, but we don't see it that way. It's like your check is my check, and my check is your check.
How much
So,
money we got this week?
How much money we got this week?
I like that. Now, let me set up a scenario real quick.
Okay.
Say perhaps Tracy is making $10,000 a month.
Okay.
Hypothetically.
Okay.
Okay. And Heath, you're making $1,000 a month.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
How do you split the bills?
Yeah. Well, it's the same. It's the same.
It's the same
It's
thing.
the
There's
same.
no bill
It's
splitting.
the same conversation. We have one pot of money. We have one pot of bills. That's how we execute, and then we keep moving.
But in other words, if he has $1,000, you leave him with some of his money so he can have some money. If you're making 10, and you would, what I'm hearing, the money is everybody's is one big pot. She's gonna make sure it's taken care of.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
we gonna
make sure
taken
it's
care of.
taken
And
care
that's how
of.
it
We
should be.
we really got to change our thinking around that.
That's right.
We're going to make sure it's taken. Now, we don't make any large purchases without one another. Now, we both are commissioned employees. So when he gets a big commission check, if he wants to go out and get something, go ahead. I don't say anything. If I get a big commission check and I want to go out and get something, I go ahead. But if we're going to make a large purchase for the household, we consult one another. We talk about it and we plan. We don't spend large amounts of money without one another.
Yeah, because you can get yourself in trouble that way.
Good information. Good information. Once again, to my listeners, if you just joining in with us today on the show, we're joined today in the studio with Heath and Tracy. Again, they've been married for 28 years plus. That's a long time, and they have 4 kids
Yep.
and corporate jobs. And what we're finding out today, some of the pros and cons to a successful relationship and a successful marriage. So they give us some good information right here. You know, now Heath and Tracy, what do men love in women?
Oh.
Tell the truth, shame the devil.
What do men love in
Bring it
Yeah.
bring it on in. Heath.
And we can use your for example.
Yeah.
It's not just him. This is going to be
respect me in my household, please. That's key for me, right?
always
And so
edify your man. Always.
what the worst thing is having someone talk down to you in front of your children, or demeaning you, or your ego, or your place in the marriage. It's like, well, we're a partnership. So if you're going to demean me, then it sounds like you don't want to be partners anymore. And so I think that's so key for men, is that when you have a wife, you want your wife to edify you, to love you, to respect you, and to speak with you in those kinds of tones, both in front of people and not.
I always tell Heath, you look good. You look sexy today.
Yeah.
You smell good. I love the way you handled that situation with the kids.
That's right.
I love the fact that you put gas in my car without me asking.
I love
Yeah.
You know?
I wish my audience could see.
This is what I do, and it
Right.
does something. It does something to him, and it does something to me when I speak those words to him. It's
Yeah.
magic.
That's wonderful. When it comes to spending your life with one person, now you're married, you're going to spend your life with one person.
Right.
How important is it for you to know their family?
Yeah.
Before you get married, is
It
knowing the
depends.
family-
It depends.
Can knowing the family determine whether you want to be with this man or woman?
I say no. I say no because when Heath and I first met, I was not really accepted by his family. They were used to another person, and they had gotten used to this other person for a couple of years, and he ended that relationship.
Yep.
Didn't really share it with them, and the
Nope.
next thing they knew, I was in
On
their
the
face.
scene.
And then 3 months later, I was pregnant. So it was harsh to begin with, but it never deterred the both of us, because the primary relationship is Heath and Tracy.
Mm-hmm.
That is the primary relationship.
Yeah.
If your family is negating your relationship in any way, you need to remove yourself. Now, if they're negating the relationship because of abuse or because they don't think things are like that, they're going to continue to let you know. They're not going to let up.
Right.
But if it's just, I don't like her, or I don't like him, where's the other girl, or where's the other guy? Keep it moving. Keep it moving. And what did you say to them?
Well, I think that's you having that self-awareness and understanding of the maturity that you need to bring into that kind of situation. And for me, it was like, I'm not concerned about what you think. This is a decision that I made. I didn't like that other person anymore. That other person was not treating me in the way that I deserved to be treated. So therefore, she got canceled, and Queen Tracy's on the scene.
Wonderful.
Deal with it.
I like that already, because I see that a lot of relationships that when a new person comes into a significant other's life, the family has already gotten used to the previous person.
Sure.
And the children know this previous person,
Right.
the grandchildren know this, the sisters, everybody. And this new person comes on,
Right.
and it's very hard for them to get used to this person.
Yeah.
They'll shut the door on them.
They will.
I think, physically as a human, you'd love for your family to, especially if you're close with your family, you'd love for your family to be engaged and to really like the decision that you've made. But if they don't, that's more of an issue for them, not for you.
Good information. Now, when it comes to the term, until death do us part,
Ooh.
how relevant is that conversation, and when does it matter the most?
Oh, wow.
We just covered this on a recent podcast of ours.
I heard it.
Yeah, and we were speaking to the B. Smith incident, and her husband bringing another woman into their marriage under the circumstances of her deteriorating mindset or mind.
Yeah.
And it's, once again, we're going to go back to, what is your interpretation of your marriage? This is how you get to till death do us part.
Right.
A lot of people talk about how other people are married and, oh, that's weird, and, oh, I'd never do it like that. You know what? Don't matter. That's not your marriage.
And you don't, and also you don't know how you would respond to a certain situation or series of events until you're thrusted into it yourself. And so people can speak on things when they're looking at it from the outside in, but all of a sudden when it's you, now you may think about it differently.
Till death do us part, I believe in till death do us part. What is the point?
Right.
If I'm not going to stay with this man until it's done, what is the point? What is the point of our 4 kids? What is the point of the legacy that we're building if I don't just stay with him until it's done? So when you do that, you have to figure out how you do it. We talk about Will and Jada sometimes, and people want to talk about what they think their relationship is. Well, they've told us what their relationship is. I have no qualms about what Will and Jada are doing or are not doing in their marriage, because you know what? That's their marriage.
That's their marriage.
They're figuring out how to get to till death do us part,
Right.
because they understand also how important that is. You have Hollywood celebrities out there that never get married under the law,
Right.
but they're doing it too. Till death do us part. How are they doing it? They're doing it their way. Find your way till death do us part. That's between you and your partner. Nobody else. That's how you get to joyfully married after, and that's how you get to death do us part.
Preach.
I like that. Now, I'm going to rewind to a question that I slipped over this question.
Okay.
What can someone do when the sexual side has become less important?
Yeah.
Because we get a certain age,
Oh yeah.
you know, and women go through, I forgot what is the word they go through?
Menopause.
Menopause.
They get hot and cold.
Yeah.
Menopause.
Men go through that too, and to some circumstances.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So what happens when one person goes through it before the other person?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, Gary. And
What are the
so
reasons?
I think that one of the things that's key with that is understanding that sex is a component of marriage. It's not the central piece of marriage. That's the first thing. And speaking to all the other things that we've talked about today, is that when you're in tune with your mate and you understand and you're connecting with them on an intellectual level, on a spiritual level, that you're having these conversations and you are in a good place, you're friends and all of these other things, then that naturally impacts the sex, and so that can actually help because you are connected in that way. I think another thing is that it also reminds you of your health, right? And so if we're going to be joyfully married for decades upon decades, then I have to take care of my body. And so if my body is not performing in the way that I need it to, I need to do some inward introspection. I might need to go to the doctor. I might need to start working out a little bit
I might
more.
need to stop watching porn.
I might need to stop watching porn. I might need to check out what I'm eating. I might need to do a number of things, because at the end of the day, if my mate is saying I need this or I need this more frequently,
you got to take care of it.
then you got to do that.
Hey, look, that's going to about wrap it up for us today. We had a wonderful show. Once again, if you missed the show, you can catch it at the website. Today, we're joining the studio with Heath and Tracy. And again, they've been married for 28 years plus with 4 kids and corporate jobs. They got a lot going on. And what we found out, a lot of good things, that are the pros and cons of a successful relationship, and perhaps some ideas to maintain a successful marriage. Now, once again, how can somebody get in contact with you?
Hey, we've got a free download for you if you visit heathandtracy.com, HeathandTracy.com. We've got a great free download for you there. Go check us out. Everything going on in our world is there.
HeathandTracy.com.
Wow. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate that.
Thanks,
Good show.
Gary.
Looking forward to bringing you back. Once again, joining us today with Heath and Tracy. They had a good show, and I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in to us today. Once again, I'm Gary Jones, host of Get With The Program radio show. And if you want to be a guest on the show, log in to www.getwiththeprogram.biz. Shoot me a message, leave me an email. You never know, you may have a conversation that we want to